So, as a teenager in high school, I had that boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience, as well as being a brown belt in Kuk Sool Kwan. So martial arts was my life. It's still so crucial to who I am as a human being. At about age 16, I started teaching martial arts to my friends in my high school in Santa Ana. I had friends that were interested in learning. I wanted to get experience teaching. I thought it would be cool. I always had ideas of how I would train people differently. So I just started training my friends at my high school, and originally I was training them at my grandparents' house. One of the houses I grew up in. And my grandparents had a playground style basketball court. It was a half court, and I would train my friends in boxing there. I trained and sparred with a lot of guys from my high school. It was actually good training because some of them didn't have the best control. So mouth guard, gloves on, I get to test my boxing skills and they throw hands at me. So it was a pretty good experience. And some of those guys that I trained then, like Fernando Aguilar, Josiah Leyva, John Godinez, Josh Horta, I still keep in touch with to this day. And as far as Josiah and Fernando, I still train with them to this day. And I still teach them some stuff, and they teach me things too.
One thing that I always struggled with when I was training in traditional martial arts and my kicks were getting really good was as soon as we got into close range striking, I really struggled. In fact, I used to turn my back away a lot in sparring, which is a big no-no in fighting. So as an experiment, I taught my students a close range striking system in boxing first before I even taught them kicks, because I figured that boxing would teach them a lot of fundamentals and principles that they will be able to apply to so many different martial arts styles. Boxing teaches you how to take a hit, but also hit someone else. It teaches you how to protect your head, protect your body, basic defense, basic footwork, basic movement, and you could get really comfortable sparring, pressure testing your style, and fighting in close range. From there, you can learn kicks, grappling, etc.
I trained those guys at my grandparents' basketball court, but I eventually trained them at South Coast Martial Arts. After my grandfather passed away, my grandmother sold her house, so we had to find a new place to train, and we ended up training at South Coast Martial Arts. So not only was I training there at that gym, but I was now coaching my students there as well. And I taught them for free as well. I think that's worth mentioning. I believe that a huge part of leveling up as a martial artist is teaching. I think if anyone takes martial arts really seriously and they've been training for a while, it doesn't have to be super formal, but get some experience teaching. You will learn way more about martial arts through teaching. I trained them at my grandparents' backyard, then at a friend's house in Santa Ana. I trained them at South Coast Martial Arts for a while. We trained together at LA Fitness. We trained at Stefan Tapua's Polynesian Dance Studio. So we always had a space. We had trained at parks. We trained at a lot of different places. So we still kept our what we would just call Friday boxing tradition, because it was always on Fridays. And I still meet with my student on Friday and we work out together. We work out at the LA Fitness. It's not so much coaching anymore, we just train together.
I gained a lot of insight as a result of teaching martial arts for so many years. I learned that friendship has to come first. I don't own my students. I don't look at it in a way that I'm their master and they have to do whatever I say. They can train with me as long as they want to train with me. They can train with someone else. It's all up to them. But that friendship is what's the most important thing for me. And this is the way I've been able to really maintain long-term friendships with these people. Teaching martial arts has allowed me to understand the mechanics and movements behind these different martial arts styles on a deeper level. I was able to understand boxing a lot better by teaching boxing because I have to revisit all of these movements that I once learned, and by finding a way to articulate and explain how the technique works, it actually allows you to understand the technique on a much deeper level. Within the context of martial arts, my relationship with my students has changed quite a bit over the years. For example, when I was first working with them, those first few years, I was their coach. I was teaching them from the ground up, the basics of boxing and then kickboxing. But when I was preparing for my Kuk Sool Kwan black belt test, these students of mine ended up becoming my training partners, and I used them as sparring partners. I used them as people to help me get me ready for this test. Also, as the years have gone on, I've learned martial arts from some of my students. For example, my student Fernando is a coach now, and there's been plenty of times that I've invited him over to come and train with me, and he showed me combos and movements that have helped me understand the art form better. What I really love about my students is how open-minded they are. When I wanted to switch my training from combat sports to more film and stunts, that they adapted with me. And in fact, I was able to do a few fight scenes with my own students. The interesting thing is that the LA Fitness that we would meet at, we just treated it like our own dojo, like our own training space. And I did fight choreography there. I did combat sports training there, including sparring. We made it work. One thing that I would impart on any of my students that I'm teaching is just to be open-minded within the martial arts. People are often too close-minded. I think it is very important to always have respect for all martial arts, all ways of moving, and be open to implementing these movements and patterns from different styles into your own style, into your own game.
Expressing myself as a martial artist through action movies, through YouTube videos, whatever it is, even on my Instagram, the stuff that I put out, the choreography that I put out,